The best conversations happen at happy hour. Welcome to Ours.
Welcome aboard.
This is the PT Pintcast. Here's your host, physical therapist Jimmy McKay.
And physical therapist assistant Katie Sutton from PTA Plus. Doing this kind of collab here at the APTA Future of Rehab Therapy Summit. Our guest now is all about strength, stats, and sports science, whether he's mentoring the next generation of residents or running athletes through cutting-edge return-to-play protocols using force plates and digital dynamometers. He's moving rehab forward with objective, performance-based care. Today's guest is welcome to the show, Daniel Hague. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Excited.
Welcome.
You literally just walked off stage.
Yeah.
Giving a presentation here at the Future of Rehab Therapy Summit. This is the first one they've done, but they also did different name,
other
simimer vibe.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
And you were on stage, Katie. You were on stage for that one too.
That was a while ago.
A moderator.
2021. Yeah, Centennial.
How'd that feel being on stage, Daniel?
It was really awesome. I was very appreciative for the opportunity and just being able to network and get to know, to share what I know, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to say as well.
Yeah.
And you flew without a net. We were just talking before we hit record. You were supposed to have speaker notes.
Right.
And then you got up there and you're like, notes ain't there.
Yep.
But you're like, a PT, we'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah, you just make do with what you got.
Problem solve.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the over-the-beer version of your presentation? So if someone that's listening who didn't hear it, essentially, what's the gist and what were you really trying to hammer home when you were on stage?
More or less that force plates. So the talk was was about Vald and their technologies.
Yep.
And how you can integrate it into practice, going from working with just patients all the way up to elite athletes and being able to just multiple ways of integrating into whatever setting you're currently in. And just showing that this is the future of where we're going with objective measures and return to performance that kind of stuff.
Why does that matter though? I remember when I was in PT school, wasn't even too long ago, but having a force plate was a $1 billion. It didn't matter how much it cost. You weren't going to get one. And now Vald is sort of become, and I'm not saying this is a knock, but it's like the Radio Shack of. It's you can have force plate technology that we had 10 years ago that you could not afford at an affordable price, at a price where a clinic is okay, yeah. So why does it matter? Why now should a regular, on the corner in Main Street of any town USA be having, and of course Vald doesn't do just force plates, handheld dynamometers, force decks, they've got an array. Why does this ability to turn what someone's doing into a easy to measure number, why does it matter?
I think people are able to, when they can see what the numbers mean and we're able to objectify, it allows them to feel confident that we are trending in the right direction, as opposed to our means of being able to assess before that were much more subjective.
Yeah.
And we weren't able to accurately track longitudinally. So this gives us a way of doing both those things, remedying the problem. And Vald's doing a great job. Like you said, they've made it affordable, but also, easily accessible as well.
Yeah.
You became a physical therapist to help people, not to feel like just another number. At US Physical Therapy, we're 135 plus local brands, backed by one national support team. That means more opportunity and better resources while working for locally owned clinics in your backyard. Find your next role with a company that puts PTs first. Start today at usph.com.
I've done demos with Anthony Sinecor, and the crazy part about it is you'll do an exercise and it'll know what exercise, and then it'll just take the data and just upload it to Vald Hub, right? It's a hub, and then you can in 3 months you come back and you type that person's name and now you have that data. I got real excited in PT school when I'd show my professor an app and they would essentially inhale and exhale and be well, what does it do? And then you'd explain how complicated it was or how long it took. And they were yeah, that's why it's not. But it feels like Vald saw that, understood that, and was able to say if it can't do these things quickly and easily, no one's going to use it. So we might as well not even get into this field. Doesn't matter how accurate your force plate is. If I can't easily track it, easier than I can send a text message, no one's going to use it. And Vald saw that, and they were okay, hold my beer. We have to be able to do that, and they do.
Yeah. Yeah, they've made it very frictionless. Like you said, within a few minutes of you doing the test, even less than probably, it gets uploaded to the interface, and then you can just like look at it real time with the patient, basically, or the
You
client.
put charts together. You can visualize the data. We'll stick to force play since that's what you were mainly talking about. How do you use it? Like who's a patient or two, and then what are you doing with them to be able to actually justify a reason to use it?
Yeah. So I'm fortunate to be kind of in a few different settings. So I'm in a traditional outpatient clinic, but I'm also in a university setting. I use it in the outpatient setting mostly with my return to play and load monitoring, like just seeing how they're adjusting to my regimen that I put them through and see if we're trending in the right direction. But in the sports setting, in the college setting, I'm doing it as baseline testing for all sports. And then I do iterations. I don't have them at that site all the time, so I'll do iterations every like 6 to 8 weeks of like going through the protocol that we had done the initial, so we can kind of collect data, see if we're trending. And all this is done while talking to the strength coach, athletic trainers, the docs, and the team coaches to try to make sure that we're all kind of trending in the right direction. And just trying to make the team healthier and trying to mitigate injury as best we can.
How would you have done that 10 years ago without force plates? Like, how would you show like the things that you're showing objectively? How would you have done it 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, so like we had jump mats for some time. It's like I'm not sure how much they cost, $300 to $500. So they're more affordable. They can do some of the things that the force plates can do. It's an analog like type device. So it only shows out one number, or it'll show like jump height, and it'll show like reactive strength index, which is helpful. But it's only that one snapshot. Once you like do the next jump, you no longer have that data anymore. So it's not longitudinal. It was the opposite. Kind of your point earlier. It had a lot more friction. You had to write down every number. You had to do averages of that.
No one's doing that.
Yeah. So it became a little bit tedious for people. And people did it, but like now we have a easier solution. So.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we were just talking to another guest earlier that was talking about the 10% of data that we collect, and then there's all this other data that we don't do anything with. So in what ways are you using all of this other data, other than, of course, getting people back to return to play and whatnot, but there's probably a lot of other things that you have that can be useful. So in what ways do you use it?
Yeah, so as far as like an example is I use it to actually gamify some training with some of my athletes as well.
Yeah.
So like a couple of ratios that I had talked about during my presentation was the eccentric utilization ratio as well as dynamic strength index. There's basically the eccentric utilization ratio is a squat jump and a counter movement jump, and then the isometric mid-thigh pull is a counter movement jump and a mid-thigh pull. And those two ratios give us actionable information to be able to relay that to the coaches and to the staff as far as like where we're trending. And I like to put it on a dashboard. Like Vauld makes it. You just have to put everybody into a team category, and then what it'll do is it'll show where they all line up against each other, and then that makes it very competitive. And it incites like a conversation with the strength coaches. And the team coaches to see where we need to go next.
It's different than reps and time, right? That's really all we were able to do back in the day. I mean, I worked at a clinic and we had like an exercise of the week, and we had a dry erase board. It would be like, okay, who can do the most this? We'll write your name on the board, or who's going to do this the fastest. Right. But qualifying that exercise like just wasn't really possible, or was clunky, or was, well, I could tie this to a table leg and do it sort of, and, we were just guessing in it. And I think when a patient's going through that, they sort of know it's close and not accurate. Right. So if I'm playing a video game and I'm sort of getting all the points I earned, I'm sort of not into it. I remember as a PT student, I was at an inpatient setting in a skilled nursing facility, and they had a big screen TV on wheels, and there was a digital version, like a Nintendo Wii type game playing whack-a-mole. And I remember this woman did the proper thing, like she whacked the mole and didn't get the points for it, and she was pissed. And I was like, that's cool. It shows she's 100% bought in. So it feels like, even though this might not be whack-a-mole, you're able to objectify it, but you're also able to, you're gamifying it. Like, hey, all this stuff I did for the last 14 days, look at that. I went up 30%. And now I'm beating these other 16 people on my team. So I can see it in a sports setting, but it also can be used like if the person is internally motivated, that's a great tool to visualize.
Right. Yeah. Another kind of example, I think, beyond just the higher level stuff, more simply, there's like balance tests that you can do on there. There's like a sit-to-stand test that now you can do. Is like that's an outcome measure for some more geriatric You can do a single leg squat when you're in the earlier rehabs, and it will show you like how much like their center of mass goes down throughout the movement. So it is able to quantify a few things beyond just the higher level stuff. So I think sometimes people get scared by, oh, it's like only for this like higher level stuff, the data science. No, Vault makes it pretty easy,
right?
And they're trying to reach people where they're at the moment.
Well, that's the thing. They've become the radio. I think it's a bad example to use Radio Shack because I don't know if there are Radio Shack. Best Buy. They're like the Best Buy, right? Where it was only available. I walked into Irene Davis's lab in Massachusetts, 8 years ago. I was doing an episode with her, and I remember like looking around the room. I was there with Sky Donovan, and we looked at the force. It had like a 50-meter force plate, whatever. Like, but it was short, like in terms of running, like whatever the run to actually measure. You could get 3 or 4 steps. We walked out of there. I remember Sky in the cab on the way. I was like, "Do you know what that room costs?" And I was like, "No," because I'm a student. She's like, "A lot, a lot." Right. And it was cool. But now what you're saying is this is accessible to people that don't have a run lab and can now be doing this in their clinic on the corner. I don't know. To me, it feels power to the people-ish.
Right, 100%.
Yeah, so for people who are not familiar with Vault, what are some of the benefits that you see of clinicians actually looking into this type of a product for them? What are the things that make their life easier and that they should be attracted to?
Yeah, what's the pitch?
Yeah. The pitch would be as far as from the clinician side. Are you talking about like pitching to the clinicians?
Sure. Yeah.
So pitching to the clinicians is it takes some of the guesswork out and it allows you to be able to identify like where they're having maybe bottlenecks or they're not trending in the right direction earlier, as opposed to like we do our progress notes every like 4 to 6 weeks or something, and then you're behind the 8 ball, so to speak, right? So like this allows you to test more frequently and you just get more actual information earlier, so you can kind of course correct as needed. Some people move better than others, so it's going to be different than for each person. So I think that on that side, I think that's kind of the pitch. I think it allows you to be a better clinician. You're going to be able to use the actual science and like retest. You're going to find out whether how you train, how you treat people, and how you train people is actually working, right? You're going to know, as opposed to like waiting for, okay, well, all right, they don't have any pain. They can do their basic ADLs. All right, they're probably good to go. This will give them information beyond that as far as like, are they close? Where's the symmetry? There's no way of knowing that we don't know that we're completely reducing injury risk yet, but we're doing the best we can with what we have, and hopefully over time we'll see that these types of tests and metrics are going to get to the point where we actually know if we're reducing and like hopefully seeing reduction in injury risks over the course of throughout the country. As this becomes more popular and standard.
Wanted to say congratulations. We didn't say congratulations at the top of the show. Just found out news you got your STS.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, that was
deal.
brand news. Yeah, that was just found out like a week and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
Are you still stuck spending hours on administrative tasks? Empower EMR automates scheduling, billing, and documentation so you can actually focus on your patients, not your paperwork. Book a free demo now at empoweremr.com. Are you still staying late just to finish your notes? Aphellis Scribe uses ambient AI to auto-generate documentation, so your notes are done before you leave the room. You want to see how it works? Email me now at jimmy@ptpintcast.com. I'll give you a quick demo.
So are you now? Do I have this right? You're going to be a residency mentor.
Yes.
Yeah. So why'd you, number one, take that on? Because it's additional responsibility, because humans are very human-y.
Right.
So that's very simple to say is you're a residency mentor, but what comes with that is a lot of different things. And really, like, what do you really want to get out of your mentees? Like, what's the reason you went in? What's your drive to go in to do something like that?
Yeah, so I was fortunate during like before I did the residency. I was in Massachusetts, did my OCS, and I had aspirations, want to work with higher level athletes and want to go work at the Olympics and stuff like that. And so I was actually watching MedBridge videos,
nice.
Which is one of the vendors here. But there was one of the PTs, Jared Vagey. I like looked into what he was doing and how he got to where he was at, and I just got to the point where I reached out to him and I asked him like, how did you get here? Like what would you like? How'd you get to that point? And basically want to be you, so to speak. And he was very straightforward. Like gave me all this information, said you should do this, that, do the residency, and that kind of just like giving that away, like so like freely was very kind of him, and it put me on a different path. And then I did the residency and kind of want to give back. I learned a lot through the residency. so MedStar's had a sports residency for some time, but it's only been in DC.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first one of the north. So like I was kind of the trailblazer for figuring out like what it was going to look like up there. And so I want to help iterate the next generation of it and try to make it as best you can and give back.
Paying it forward. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
What question do you have, Katie?
Ooh, yeah. So when it comes to return to play, what are we getting right and what are we getting wrong as clinicians?
Yeah, I would say, so like if they don't have a way of measuring it, if we're only doing, if they don't have a jump mat or if they don't have a force plate and they're only doing horizontal jump testing, that's not really taking into account force production of the actual like quadriceps as much as it is actually the absorbing of the force. So the quad is involved, but it's more on the stability aspect of it. So it's not so much of the actual force generation. You're getting a lot more of that from the posterior chain. So I think I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying still do it, but do it as in adjunct to vertical jump testing, and maybe looking at reactive strength index off like a drop jump or something of that nature. I actually do the single leg jump just like with everybody, regardless if they're an athlete or not. It's a novel task for most people to jump in one spot and land in one spot, so it's kind of a little weird at first for them, but it does have a more equal distribution of force generation between knee, hip, ankle. So I think that's a nice little thing, and it's easy. It's not rocket science, but it shouldn't be done. You shouldn't only do that for the first time during their like progress note or something, because if they've never done it before, it's not natural to do it.
Right.
So.
Love it. We got a tradition on the show, which is called your parting shot.
Okay.
So what's the last mic drop moment or soapbox statement you'd want to leave as we wrap up?
So I gave some thought to this,
Okay.
and my mic drop moment would be: we don't just treat injuries, we decode movement, and these tools act as our translator.
Yeah. Yeah. We were guessing a lot. I remember as a PT student, having someone do an exercise with my CI over my shoulder going, "What'd you see?" And I'm like, I have no idea where you're looking, right? And then all I would do is sort of reiterate what she or he had taught me, right? But now you're able to measure that. You're able to be accurate.
Right.
Pretty damn accurate, right? This isn't just cute. This is useful, usable, and now I'm imagining with the power of AI what you're able to do and how you can take all that fire hose of data and start to actually use it for the powers of good.
Right. 100%. I think, that and see where that goes as far as right now we have these normative data sets. Hopefully in the future and not too far future, we're going to have pathological normative data sets, and that's really where things will change in the rehab setting. So I'm really excited to see where that goes, and I'm sure that's only a matter of time with what Vald's pushing for. So
Love it.
That's great.
If people want to reach out to you, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Probably through my Instagram, DJ Hague would probably be a simple way on there, or you could try to find me on LinkedIn.
Love it.
Daniel Hague. So.
Daniel, appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Love the PT Pinecast? Yes. Support the show by telling a friend or by leaving a review on iTunes or Google Play.
You want to specialize in ortho, neuro, or sports physical therapy and actually get paid while doing it? Brooks IHL offers accredited residencies and fellowships with full salary, full benefits, and real mentorship from clinical experts. Learn more and apply at brooksihl.org. There aren't nearly enough podcasts in this world. Said no one. Why not launch one more? If you thought about launching a show but don't quite know how, we can help you do all that back-end stuff. Email me at jimmy@ptpintcast.com and we can add one more podcast no one else will listen to the pile.